My name is Shark, aka Michael Sharkey. You are Spanish, aka Spanish. This is Let's Get Real, an interactive talk show for guys where what we do is like the portrait that I painted earlier is we're dudes sitting around a campfire and you can talk about whatever you want. You can tell us a joke if you want, because we'll laugh. Or you can actually talk about something that's going on in your life, kids, life, alcohol, whatever it is. But because it's campfire and because everything's on the table, I want to talk about how I traveled through time.
Finally.
So, all right. If you're watching this on YouTube, definitely drop a comment if this has ever happened to you and subscribe at Let's Get Real Radio Show. And if you're listening to the podcast, leave a 5-star rating and a written review. You can listen to Let's Get Real in these segments on Apple, Spotify, however you listen to it. So I've shared a cajillion times on the show that my morning routine is I go outside and I meditate. I talked about it earlier. So I go out and my little backyard, and the trees and the birds and the sun's coming up around like 6:30, 6:45. I got my coffee and my routine, and I'm painting this picture. I meditate because it helps calm the voice in my mind and it helps me start my day right. People meditate for a lot of different reasons. You meditate to talk to Krishna or whoever whatever it is you do when you meditate.
Damn right.
So, but I like it because whenever I meditate, it's just a time to just relax, to get in alignment, to see what I'm feeling. And I meditate every day, but not every day is a good meditation. Like some days, it's hard to turn the mind off. It's like the chatter is just hard. So whenever I sit down, I have a timer I use a meditation app. It's not a guided meditation, but I set a timer. And I always set a timer for 30 minutes. And I'm painting the full picture because you need to know the full picture of how I travel through time. So I set it for 30 minutes, got my coffee, and for the first 8 minutes, I'll read stuff from the Stoicism journal or from my little Bible journal, or I'll journal. But I do that for about 8 minutes. Do a little prayer, talk out loud. You taught me a long time ago that when you pray, pray out loud because it pierces the veil. Thank you for that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular morning, and I do it, and what's fascinating is that it's so routine and rhythmic, is that I look down at the timer and I know I'm ready to start meditating when the timer starts at 30 minutes and it gets to 22:22. So I always look for the 4 twos, and then I go into it. Well, a couple of days this week, as it happens, start meditating, breathing, body, listening, feeling, doing all the things I do in my meditation, gratitude, all that stuff. And then when I finally come out of it, maybe there's like 7 minutes left in the timer. So I meditated for a total of like 14 or 15 minutes. Sometimes when it's not really good, I'll look at the timer when I open my eyes and it's like 10 minutes left. So I only meditated for like 12 minutes. Well, Wednesday morning, I had a meditation, did all the normal stuff, started going about 22:22. I started breathing, started feeling the body, and I was like, oh, this one feels pretty good. Starts to get deep. And I started this meditation in gratitude for the alignment that we were talking about last break. So I started feeling very aligned. And specifically, I was like allowing myself to kind of go into this place around more occupation, like work stuff, like not even occupation. That's not even right. Purpose, alignment towards purpose of what it is I really want to do. And like, I was very much like, okay, this feels really good. And like the mind chatter was down. And there was a couple of things that happened in the meditation, but nothing major. But I was like, man, this feels really, really good. And then I came out of it at one point. And I was like, okay, that was good. That was probably 12 minutes, maybe 13 minutes. When it hits the 30-minute mark in my meditation app, there's a little gong that goes off, but it keeps going. Like the timer keeps going. And I looked down at my phone and I had hit at that point, it was the 36-minute mark. So I went somewhere for whatever that is, doing quick math. I went somewhere for about 28 minutes. Give myself a little bit of time to relax and finally get into a meditation. Maybe it was less than that. Maybe it was like 20 minutes. But when I came to, I thought, Yeah, this was like 12 minutes, 14 minutes. It was good. It was relaxing. I felt like it was deep, but I didn't feel like it was that. When I looked down and realized that I went somewhere and I was gone, like I didn't hear the little gong at the 30-minute mark, I was kind of like, I literally, and I texted you this. I was like, I don't know where I went, but I went somewhere. And you were the first person to go, dude, you traveled through time.
Yeah, man.
That was, and it was like I told you last week that I had a massive moment download inspiration at like
Hmm.
3 in the morning. Like, and then I had this meditation. So these things are starting to happen with a little more frequency in my life. And I'm not complaining. I love it. I don't fully know how to put words to it, especially when you look down and you're like, where was I for the last 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Where was I for that, 15-minute window of life? Um, so yeah, I'll always preach as loud as I can that meditation is one of the best things that you can do for your mental health. And it's good for everybody, and it's different for everybody. And even if you have mind chatter, if you can pause the mind chatter for just seconds, that's a good thing. But to be able to kind of go away and not know exactly where I was, that's to me, that was pretty powerful.
Yeah. It should be powerful. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful moment you had with your body. The vessel you've been given.
I didn't know if you have any like
Okay, so I
quantum,
do.
I'm
So
sure
I
you
do.
do.
Okay, so I'm going to give you this disclaimer because this happened to me, not your experience, but what I'm going to be disclaiming, and that is I have read the science about what you're explaining. However, if I tell you the science behind it, it does take away a big portion of like the mystical, spiritual essence behind it because your body is an amazing thing, and what you're describing is a something that's beautiful that happens to the human body and consciousness when they
Mm.
align as one.
Mhm.
So that is the disclaimer.
That's fine.
How would you
And
like to
look,
proceed?
well, I will tell you that I read enough, maybe not as much as you, but I read enough about the quantum field and quantum mechanics and all that. So I love it. Like
Yes.
I don't think you're gonna demystify it. Like it's not
Okay.
gonna I'm not gonna go meditate tomorrow morning and go, damn it,
Damn it, man.
why did Spanish say that? Now I don't see it anymore.
Well, because that's what happened to me. Because that's what happened to me is I read about it and then I was like, oh, well, that's kind of I like the hocus pocus where I thought like I was astral projecting. However, the amazing thing is what you're describing is an extreme point of flow state, and it
Mm,
is what happens when your nervous system, your brain, and your consciousness all align in one. The What happens in that moment is your brain and your senses are your brain is unfiltered, so your senses are taking in a broad spectrum of information, so much so that you lose yourself to the physical moment. That's why time disappears. That's why you disappear almost. Your
mm,
body dissolves into nothingness, and all that's left is your consciousness. It's a beautiful thing. It's hard to get to. It's what people spend, decades trying to get to their zen or whatever. Um, and the crazy thing is that the more you do it, the easier your brain and your nervous system and your body remember the feeling, making
mm.
it way easier to drop into. So you're like what you're experiencing is the literal precipice or the threshold
Yeah.
of you being able to call on that state of being whenever
Yes.
you want. It majorly happens to people when they're driving, and that's why people will say, I, left work and I got home and I don't remember the drive. It's
Totally.
essentially the
Totally.
same thing.
Yeah.
Your body is still there on autopilot, and your brain subconsciously is handling the drive, but your consciousness, along with your nervous system, have aligned, and now your consciousness is doing a million things at once because it could take in vast amounts of information from the world all at the same time.
Yeah, and I thought you might use the driving analogy because that makes sense to me, like because we've all done that, like that, and that is just a form of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how did I get here? Um, and I'm not. The funny thing is, this has happened to me before. What I think was startling about this particular one is that Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning. I think it was actually Thursday morning when this happened, but every morning when I go out, like like if I have a crappy meditation, I'm still just sitting outside with coffee and journals and listening to birds. Like it doesn't suck. What I've observed in my own life is that if I skip that, if I if I wake up late or I've got a call or something and like my entire day is shot at that point. I don't want to say my day is shot, but I notice it. I notice that if I screw up that particular routine, it's probably no different than somebody gets up and goes to the gym every morning. If they pick a morning where they don't go to the gym, then their day sucks because their routine was out. So there's probably some measure of like it's a good routine that I'm in. Like, and I'm not kidding, dude, down to the second because I look for 2222 on my meditation app before I start breathing deep and calming my thoughts. But I think what was so interesting is that Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, a lot of stuff going on. As Adelaide was here last week, she was still in town. She didn't fly out yet because they were stuck with a snowstorm and all this stuff. So like I would go to meditate and I was like, yeah, but I want to make them breakfast. So I need to go inside. So kind of like let's hurry this along. And meditation is not one of those things that you like hurry along. You kind of let yourself get into a flow state. So it caught me a little bit, whereas I went out almost expecting it to not be a great meditation. And like, again, I'm okay with that. Still love the routine. So when I dropped into whatever that was, it was doubly surprising because I've done it before and I've felt that before, but I wasn't expecting it to the degree in which I expected it. Like I cannot emphasize this enough. When I looked down at my phone and realized that I had been sitting there for 20 minutes thinking it had only been five, I was like, whoa, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was very cool.
That's quantum entanglement right there. What you just described in the quantum world is quantum entanglement. Your routine is a energetic communication with the field around you that
Hmm.
you've done for X amount of time.
Hmm.
Sometimes, even though you may not be in the mood to share that communication with the quantum field remembers,
Oh, yeah.
just like Pepperidge Farm. So they're going to pull you back. That quantum field, just being in the same geographical location, that energy around you, it remembers what you do. So it's going to have this pull on your energy now, or your psyche and your consciousness that's like, hey, remember we used to dance every morning at 6 a.m.? Why aren't you dancing with me this morning? Am I not
Yeah.
pretty today? And then it pulls you back in.